Hello and welcome. This is my feedback or thoughts, if you so will, regarding the new update to Robocraft Maximum Loadout. I'll talk a bit about the different weapons, how I feel about it now after the update, and as well about the new models, the shield and blink model, and also like the general thoughts about like what's strong, what's not, and how to counter different builds. If we start to talk about the Blink and Shield model, I feel like they're not that strong. I tried them out, I built maybe 5-6 different bots and tried them out on old bots and modified them, and all in all they cost too much. I mean, you can get a black cannon for the same cost as you can get that shield or that blink, and in the end it doesn't really feel like it's worth it. It's very situational. The shield could probably be good if you had it in a squad where people work together, so you're actually not just healing yourself, but 4 or 5 people, then definitely the blink, not as it is. And I'm not sure it will be worth it once you get, if they increase the amount of CPU, because you can always get more HP, more guns, more other stuff that is more worth it. However, I don't think they should shorten the cooldown or add or make it use less energy, because I think they're good as it is. They should just make it cost less CPU, but it's fun to use. I really hope they change that. We're talking about the energy. I think that's a really nice addition, that you have to plan how to use the energy to use for different weapons, and also the limits it sets to how you use the different weapons, because the new weapons deal more damage or work differently. The plasma is really fun to play with. It gives a high burst but use a lot of energy, so you really have to conserve your energy to deal that really high burst damage. I tried out most of the different new weapons except maybe the snipers. I fool around a little with them, but I can't really say I have a feel for them yet. But if we start with the heal, there's now a burst heal that is really strong, maybe too strong. You heal up in a matter of seconds. I feel like maybe they should tune that down. However, that you can tie together with the fact that people seem to die faster, and that's because you increase the damage of most of the weapons. One of the major complaints I think that people had in this patch is that you feel like the bot is made of paper. So that heal is necessary. You also heal up very fast. I mean, that's a few patches back, but they added the regen after 10 seconds. And so if bots were not made of paper, and people was able to not heal as much as they do now, no one would die, because you would just regen. So I feel what they should do is probably, because now duels don't last, there's not much of a brawl, it's like very short engagement before someone dies and gets away. They should probably make the regen kicking not after 10 seconds, but maybe first after 20, giving the heal being more valuable than it is now. But also make the bots a bit sturdy, like tone down the damage of all the weapons. SMG do more weapon damage. SMG now don't have a hit scan. You actually have to lead a projectile, fast moving projectile, and that being tied also to one of the major complaints that is kind of every single patch that people complain about Tesseracts or different pro builds. They're really hard to hit with SMGs, since you have to lead a projectile. They were hard to hit with hit scan, now they're outright impossible. And I think that why people complain so much about those pro builds is they had their favorite bot, right? Their favorite SMG cruiser, and they want to do good against Tesseracts, and they simply don't, and now they do even worse. So it's not the Tesseracts being strong, it's rather that you can't really use SMG to counter air, or at least smaller air units. However, flak and lock-on missile launcher are really good for that purpose. So you just equip a flak cannon, and Tesseracts is not really that strong, so it's rather, I feel, that people don't counter build it to a large degree, than that they're actually that strong. I haven't really played that much with lock-on missile launcher this patch, but it doesn't really seem like it changed much. I think it's in a good spot right now. Flak being really strong, but that's probably because I feel a bit of an air bias right now. I don't know if that's because air is really strong, or if it's rather that air is strong against the old type of bots. And once more and more people start, for example, use flak cannons, then people will shift back to ground. So that's, you have to like kind of wait until it settles. So the other thing that people kind of are writing about is also connected to the Tesseract, and is the health of cubes. People are still complaining like the lightweight cubes are too much health. Like, you can be strong and sturdy and still really small and light, and that would be a bonus for the Tesseract. Now, it reduces several times, and people seem to forget. Everyone is complaining about the inners being so light, and I kind of feel like, so no one knows rods exist? I mean, rods are super light and have almost a health of a full cube, if not the same, right? And then you probably think like, shh, don't tell them I like my rods. Yeah, rods are strong. So how come everybody thinks lower health of inners and current inners will help? Don't people know how to construct robots with rods? Of course they do. People will just find new ways, and right now there are counters. It's just that you can't counter the old builds with your old builds. You have to build something new. And so yeah, I feel the patch is in overall actually a good place. Of course there's some issues, but I like it. The energy bar is really nice. New models are fun, although not worth it. And I see a lot of different viable builds, so it's just that all builds are not that viable. I mean, I had some bots I used to score really high with, and I don't anymore. But you just build new things. This is, for example, this bot I'm playing with right now is one of those new builds. I really like hovers, but none of my hovers were really viable, so I just built new. For me, it's not a big issue, but I know some people, they get like robots made pretty much useless when the new patch come out. I don't really care about that. I really like to build new bots. I usually get tired of my bot after like 2 weeks and build a new one. So anyway, so for me that's not an issue. However, hovers right now feel very weak, and the reason for that is the air superiority, and the best way to counter that is put a flak or block or missile launcher onto your bot, and you can't really have that on a hover. So copters are strong because you can have a flak cannon on them. Cruisers probably, tank threads also viable. Hovers are, especially since hovers are a bit more fragile, since you're already fragile as it is with any type of bot, you kind of don't want to sit in a really little fragile hover with no anti-air, and because your SMGs won't really work against air. And I think that's the complaint when people complain about Tesseracts being strong, Chromes being strong. It's because you have your favorite hover, they have their favorite cruiser with SMGs on, and it just doesn't work, because SMGs, as it is right now, is not good against air, and the bias, or it's kind of air bias right now. There's a lot of air bots. So yeah, that's all in all. And as you see, I used a lot of rods because the rods are strong and light. I used kind of copter spam or rotor spam. There's 9 of the biggest rotors on this thing. They all connected to different parts. So even though it's not a robot that is compact, it's rather that all the rotors are connected to different points with several different connection points, so whatever blows off, it will still be there. I think I was flying around with like just a few rotors, nothing else, and it's still alive, like 1%, and I can 1% of health, and I could still control the robot. So it's really strong. Of course, it's a big target, so this is actually a target you can hit with an SMG. Most flyers are not. It can win against the Tesseract. So with this bot, for example, it actually does a really good job against the Tesseract, because a Tesseract cannot have a flak on it. It's simply too heavy to have a flak on a Tesseract. And unless they get really close to you, if you have a flak and you stay for them, unless they actually manage to shoot your flak off before they're dead, You just have to spot them in time and start aiming at them. You don't should of course not hit towards where they are or where they're going, but just hit around them and they're gonna fall out of the sky. And if they do go down to the ground, you can start bombing them. This one is equipped with plasmas and a flak and actually healing guns. I can get back to the healing guns, but it does good against ground as well. Like the plasma does a really good burst. The reason for the healing guns is actually, like I said, people regen so fast I don't really feel like healing guns are that useful, or I don't feel I'm helping my team that much, but they give a lot of points. I haven't really after the update played rank league yet, because I haven't really had a bot that I feel is strong enough for it. But one way to not lose rank is to get so much point that even if you lose, you end up on the upper half, and heal really helps with it. You heal your teammates when they're hurt, and you heal them up in seconds. Even if they're going to heal up themselves in 2 seconds, you heal them up anyway, because it gives a lot of points, a lot of points. So yeah, that's my general thought on the update. Like, it's a good update. They just need to tweak things. Thanks for watching. Yeah, cheers.